Fulfilling her desire to become a superpower, Indian leaders always showcase most expensive and non-operational equipments, wasting immense resources of their taxpayers. Indian Navy since inception operating aircraft carriers, which cost them billions of rupees to make them operational. INS Vikrant, R-11, was India's first aircraft carrier purchased from the UK in late 50s. It was active during the Goa Liberation Operation in 1961 and played a standstill non-operational role in the 1971 war with Pakistan. An old British Second World War ship sailed to India, but in all her tenure of service it was a showpiece rather than an active weapon. The operational cost of this carrier was very high due to diesel engines, and Indian was unable to handle her operational issues, which causes many accidents. Same mistake was again repeated, and India's once again purchased second aircraft carrier, from the UK. It was commissioned in India in 1987. INS Virat was originally commissioned by the British Royal Navy as HMS Hermes on 18 November 1959, 15 years after she was laid down in June 1944. She served as the flagship of the Royal Navy's task force during the Falklands War in 1982 and was decommissioned from active duty in 1985. In April 1986, Hermes was towed from Portsmouth Dockyard to Devonport Dockyard to be refitted, reactivated and sold to India. Delivery of 16 British Aerospace Sea Harrier FRS-51 and 4 Westland Sea King Mk.42 BC was the part of deal. Although this aircraft carrier was history maker with total service span of 55 years in two navies, but same operational issues also faced in this aircraft carrier handling by Indian Navy. Indian Navy faced technical issues in Sea Harrier's fighter jet operational handling. UK supplied total 30 Sea Harriers to Indian Navy and 21 crashed due to different reasons, but mostly due to Indian Navy professional lacking. 6 pilots and 12 crew members died in different incidents. INS Vikramaditya is a modified Kiev-class aircraft carrier and the flagship of the Indian Navy. The carrier entered into service in 2013. Originally built as Baku and commissioned in 1987, the carrier served with the Soviet Navy and later with the Russian Navy, as Admiral Gorshkov, before being decommissioned in 1996. After years of negotiations, the carrier was purchased by India on 20 January 2004. The transformed ship completed her sea trials in July 2013 and first STOBAR aviation trials in September 2013. She was commissioned on 16 November 2013 at a ceremony held at Severodvinsk, Russia. On 14 June 2014, the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, formally inducted INS Vikramaditya into the Indian Navy. The ship was free of cost due to service limit was expired, but to make it operational it cost India $800 million for the upgrade and refit of the vessel and an additional $1 billion for the aircraft and weapons systems. The deal also included the purchase of 12 single-seat Mikoyan MiG-29K, Fulcrum D, Product 9.41, and 4 dual-seat MiG-29K UB aircraft, with an option for 14 more aircraft, at $1 billion, 6 Kamov Ka-31, Helix, reconnaissance and anti-submarine helicopters, torpedo tubes, missile systems, and artillery units. Facilities and procedures for training pilots and technical staff, delivery of simulators, spare parts, and establishment maintenance on Indian Navy facilities were also part of the contract. On 10 June 2016, while undergoing a scheduled major refit of INS Vikramaditya, 2 people were killed by a toxic gas leak that occurred during maintenance work in the sewage treatment plant compartment of INS Vikramaditya at Karwar. 2 other people were injured and taken to the Naval Hospital. On 28 February 2017, a MiG-29K aircraft that took off from Vikramaditya had to make an emergency landing at Mangalore International Airport due to hydraulic failure. On 26 April 2019, 1 naval officer died of smoke inhalation at Karwar's Naval Hospital INHS Patanjali, and 7 others were injured after fighting a fire that erupted in the boiler room of Vikramaditya on her course to INS Kadamba. A MiG-29K UB disembarking from INS Vikramaditya en route to INS Hansa crashed in the sea on 26 November 2020, resulting in the death of a pilot, Commander Nishant Singh. On the 20th of July 2022, a fire broke out during a planned sortie for conducting sea trials off Karwar in the Uttar Kannada district of Karnataka. No casualties were reported. INS Vikrant is an aircraft carrier in service with the Indian Navy. The carrier is India's fourth carrier, 2 retired from service, and the first to be built domestically. It was constructed by the Kochi Shipyard Limited, CSL. The name Vikrant is a tribute to India's first aircraft carrier INS Vikrant, 1961. It is currently one of 2 active aircraft carriers in the Indian Navy, the other being the flagship INS Vikramaditya. Work on the ship's design began in 1999. The keel was laid in 2009. The carrier was floated out of dry dock in December 2011 and launched in August 2013. Basin trials were completed in December 2020, and sea trials started in August 2021. Its commissioning ceremony was held on the 2nd of September 2022. Aircraft flight trials have been completed in 2023. The total cost of the project is approximately 23,000 crore rupees, equivalent to 260 billion rupees or $3 billion United States dollars in 2023, at the time of first sea trials. Vikrant's air group plans to be consisted up to 22 Rafale M fighters, but till yet no aircraft placed on this mega aircraft carrier, due non-availability of local Tejas fighter jet and Indian government place order to purchase Rafale M on April 25, 2025. This is also planned to place 4 Kamov Kar-31, or 2 HAL Druv NUH or 4 Mega Henry's 60R helicopters on this carrier. The construction plan originally called for the carrier to be launched in 2010, sea trials to commence in 2013, and to be commissioned in 2016. However, the project experienced some delays such as delay in the delivery of main gearboxes, aviation equipment etc., and cost overrun. The supplier of gearboxes, Alecan, attributed it to technical complexities due to the length of the propulsion shafts. Part of the blame for the delay in delivery of Vikrant was attributed to the delay in the supply of aviation equipment from Russia. In response to a question in the Rajya Sabha, Sripad Naik, the Minister of State for Defense, stated, ship's targeted delivery was affected due to delay in supply of aviation equipment from Russia. Later, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, sea trials of the carrier were further postponed to late 2020, but eventually began in August 2021. The carrier was commissioned on the 2nd of September 2022, costing Indian taxpayers additional $2 billion United States dollars due to delays, with total cost reached more than $5 billion United States dollars. INS Vishal, also known as Indigenous Aircraft Carrier 3, IAC-3, is a planned aircraft carrier to be built by Kochi Shipyard Limited for the Indian Navy. It is intended to be the 3rd aircraft carrier to be built in India after INS Vikrant, IAC-1, and another Vikrant-class aircraft carrier, provisionally called IAC-2. The proposed design of this class will be a new design, featuring significant changes from Vikrant, including an increase in size and displacement. An electromagnetic aircraft launch system, EMALS, CATOBAR system is also under consideration. In April 2021, the Indian Navy, wanting to give preference to nuclear-powered and conventional submarines in future sea warfare, has decided that it will now begin planning the 3rd aircraft carrier, INS Vishal, as a replacement for the serving INS Vikramaditya. Now Indian Navy has shelved its plans to operate 3 aircraft carriers simultaneously and is instead prioritizing the development of a 2nd indigenous aircraft carrier, IAC, as a future replacement for INS Vikramaditya, media reports claimed. The report stated that the government does not support the Navy's stance on maintaining a fleet of 3 aircraft carriers, which would have ensured that at least 2 remain operational at all times, even when one undergoes refits. However, reports suggest that the government has opposed the Navy's stance since at least 2020, advocating instead for a greater emphasis on submarines rather than aircraft carriers. Former Chief of Defense Staff General Bipin Rawat had publicly expressed skepticism about the necessity of a 3-carrier fleet, referring to them as sitting ducks.